Have you ever noticed how some people build wealth effortlessly while others work twice as hard but remain financially stuck? The truth is, the wealthy have a financial playbook they rarely share, and today I'm exposing its most critical pages. I'll reveal the 10 worst assets that silently drain your wealth and keep you trapped in the financial rat race. These aren't just bad investments. They're wealth destroyers disguised as status symbols and achievements. Warren Buffett himself confirmed this secret. Many wealthy individuals built their fortunes not by making more money, but by avoiding these exact wealth-killing purchases that most Americans make without thinking twice. Each of these wealth killers is part of a larger system designed to keep your money flowing into someone else's pockets. Pay close attention to the last one. It's the most deceptive of all and probably sitting in your driveway right now. Now, let's uncover these financial time bombs that are destroying your path to wealth. 1. New cars. Your money disappearing down the road. That new car smell is almost irresistible, isn't it? But did you know the moment you drive off the dealership lot, your investment has already lost 15% of its value? It's like throwing $6,000 out the window before you even get home. Within the first 5 years, that car loses more than half its value. That $40,000 vehicle is now worth less than $20,000, but if you financed it, you're still paying as if it were worth the original price, often with interest rates that drive the real cost up to $50,000 or more. Meanwhile, truly wealthy people rarely fall into this trap. Warren Buffett, despite being a billionaire, drove a used Cadillac. They understand that cars are expenses, not investments. Real wealth comes from owning assets that appreciate, not depreciate. The smart strategy: look for vehicles that are 2 to 3 years old with low mileage. A used Toyota Camry or Honda Accord offers virtually the same experience and technology as the new model, often still with warranty, saving you $10,000, $15,000 right off the bat. If you absolutely must buy a new car, do the complete calculation. Those $40,000 invested in an S&P 500 index fund for 20 years would grow to over $186,000. Is that new car smell worth trading away your future wealth? And if you think losing money on a depreciating vehicle is bad, wait until you hear about the next financial trap, a vacation investment that becomes a lifelong financial burden that's almost impossible to escape. 2. Timeshares. The contract you can never escape. Ever imagined owning a little piece of paradise you can visit every year? That's the seductive promise of timeshares. The problem: they're probably one of the worst investments anyone can make. They shouldn't even be called investments at all. It all starts with a substantial upfront payment, often $20,000 or more. But that's just the beginning of the story. What those smiling salespeople don't emphasize are the annual maintenance fees that only increase over time, starting at $800 and quickly climbing to $2,000 or more per year. And it doesn't matter if you use it or not. You pay either way. When reality finally hits and you try to sell your timeshare, you discover the brutal truth. Virtually nobody wants to buy it. The market is flooded with desperate owners trying to get rid of them, often willing to sell them for pennies on the dollar or even paying someone to take over the contract. Robert from Miami learned this the hard way when he tried to sell his Florida timeshare for $15,000 after paying $30,000 5 years earlier, without receiving a single offer. Meanwhile, financially savvy people simply book accommodations when they want to travel. They enjoy the freedom to choose different destinations, stay in updated properties, and best of all, no ongoing financial commitments. Platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, or even hotel discounts offer comparable or better experiences for a fraction of the long-term cost. If you already own a timeshare and feel trapped, there are specialized companies that help exit these contracts. But be prepared to pay. Prevention, as always, is much cheaper than the cure. Before signing any long-term contract, ask yourself, does this give me financial flexibility or lock me into an inflexible commitment? Hey, Before we continue, are you finding value in these financial traps I'm exposing? If this information is helping you, take a second to type eye-opening in the comments below. It helps the YouTube algorithm, and I want to make sure I'm creating content that truly matters to you. Okay, let's keep going. Now, speaking of appearances versus reality, let's expose the third wealth killer that has people trading their financial future for a moment of admiration from strangers. 3. Designer clothes and accessories, buying status. That $2,000 Louis Vuitton bag or $10,000 Rolex watch might make you look successful, but the uncomfortable truth is that many people flaunting these status symbols are financially in the red. They're trading real wealth for a temporary illusion of prosperity. The luxury paradox is fascinating. While people neck-deep in debt parade around with the latest designer items, many genuine millionaires wear ordinary clothes and live discreetly. Mark Zuckerberg is known for his simple grey t-shirts, and Warren Buffett lives in the same house he bought in 1958. They understood that owning income-generating assets is far more important than appearing rich. The math is relentless. That $500 pair of shoes doesn't just cost the sticker price, it also represents opportunity cost. If invested in an ETF like VTI with an average annual return of 8%, that same amount would transform into more than $2,300 in 20 years. And if purchased on credit card, add 18% annual interest, and the real cost could easily double. This doesn't mean you should never buy something beautiful or high quality. The issue is timing and proportion. The truly prosperous follow the assets first rule, and they build a solid investment foundation before spending on luxuries. A good rule of thumb: if the luxury item costs more than 1% of your total net worth, it's probably too soon to buy it. If you truly appreciate luxury brands, consider smart alternatives. Resale platforms like The Real Real or Vestiaire Collective offer authentic designer items for a fraction of the original price. Or try subscription models like Rent the Runway, which let you wear designer clothes without the commitment of purchase. But as wasteful as designer spending can be, at least you get something tangible in return. Our next wealth destroyer is even more insidious because it sells nothing but false hope, and Americans spend billions on it every year. 4. Lottery and gambling, the tax on hope. Did you know there's a tax people voluntarily pay, even though they have virtually zero chance of getting anything in return? That's the true cost of lottery and gambling, a disguised tax on hope that primarily affects those who can least afford it. The odds are shocking. You're more likely to be struck by lightning, 1 in 500,000, than to win the Powerball, 1 in 292 million. To put that in perspective, you could fill Madison Square Garden with people and pick just one to win the prize. Your chances would still be better than hitting the lottery. The average American spends about $400 annually on lottery tickets. Doesn't seem like much. That same amount invested monthly in an index fund like VOO for 30 years, with an average 8% return, would result in more than $50,000. Sarah from Ohio discovered this the hard way. After calculating she had spent over $15,000 on tickets over 12 years, without winning more than $50 on a single prize. Examine the behavior of truly rich people. They don't waste money on microscopic chances. Instead, they make calculated bets on businesses, real estate, and the stock market, where the odds are much more in their favor. They understand that real wealth comes from consistent, disciplined decisions, not instant luck. If you feel that itch to gamble, create a limited play fund as part of your entertainment budget, no more than 1 to 2% of your disposable income. This way, you satisfy the occasional desire without compromising your future. Better yet, redirect that impulse. Try apps like Acorns or Robinhood, which make investing as accessible and engaging as gambling, but with much more favorable long-term results. But as harmful as gambling can be to your finances, at least it's a slow drain. Our fifth wealth destroyer works much faster. It's the financial equivalent of a high-speed vacuum for your wallet, and nearly 40% of Americans are caught in its trap right now. 5. Credit card debt, your biggest financial enemy. That small piece of plastic in your pocket might be the most dangerous tool for your financial health. With average interest rates of 20% annually, credit card debt not paid in full is like a black hole sucking away your future wealth, leaving only debt in its place. The numbers are frightening. A debt of just $5,000 on your card, paying only the minimum, can take over 15 years to pay off and cost more than $10,000 in interest. It's like buying everything at double price. Dave from Boston learned this the hard way when his $7,000 debt on furniture and electronics ended up costing over $16,000 in total, after years of making only the minimum required payment. The trick banks don't want you to know is that they love when you pay just the minimum. In fact, they count on it. That minimum payment of $25 or $35 is scientifically calculated to keep you in debt for as long as possible while they collect astronomical interest. It's a perfect wealth transfer from your future to bank shareholders. Financially intelligent people use credit cards completely differently. They take advantage of benefits like air miles, cashback, and fraud protection, but pay the full balance every month, religiously. Thus, they transform a potential trap into an advantageous tool. Cards like Chase Freedom or Citi Double Cash can offer 2% or more return on all purchases, but only if you never pay a penny in interest. Let me ask you something. Did you already know about these financial traps we've covered so far, or has any of this information surprised you? I'm truly curious. Drop a quick comment below saying, "Knew it," or "That's new to me." I read every comment, and it helps me create better content for you. Now, back to our list. If you're already trapped in debt, there's a way out. Adopt the avalanche method, focusing on the card with the highest interest rate first, while making minimum payments on others. Once the first is paid off, redirect that amount to the next, creating a snowball effect. Apps like Undebt, It or Tiller Money can help organize this process and keep you motivated as you see the progress. Now, while credit card debt might seem obvious, our sixth wealth destroyer often comes disguised as a path to success, a costly credential that millions of Americans are still paying for decades after they receive it. 6. Expensive and useless degrees, studying for debt. To go to college, get a good job. This advice, passed down from generation to generation, is increasingly outdated. With the average cost of a 4-year degree exceeding $100,000, many young people are leaving university with degrees that don't guarantee jobs and debts that will follow them for decades. The average student debt in the US is a staggering $37,000 per person, with many graduates in specific areas owing more than $100,000. The problem: depending on the field of study, starting salaries can be so low that they make it almost impossible to pay off this amount in a reasonable time. Jennifer graduated in visual arts with $60,000 in debt, and her first job paid only $32,000 annually. After 5 years, she still owed more than when she graduated. The real problem isn't education itself, but the imbalance between cost and return. Financially wise people analyze the ROI, return on investment, of any education. They ask critical questions. Will this degree really increase my income? Is there a more accessible path to this career? Could I learn these skills more economically? Smart alternatives are rapidly growing. Certification programs in technical areas like IT, web development, or data analysis often cost less than $10,000 and can lead to starting jobs paying $60,000 or more. Community colleges offer the first 2 years of education for a fraction of the cost of traditional universities. And online platforms like Coursera, edX, and LinkedIn Learning provide quality courses for hundreds, not thousands of dollars. If you're already considering higher education, do your research. Sites like PayScale and the Bureau of Labor Statistics show average salaries by career and educational level. Compare programs from different institutions and consider starting at a community college before transferring to a university for the final years. Scholarships, federal aid, and employer reimbursement programs can also dramatically reduce costs. At least with education, you're investing in your own skills and potential. But our seventh wealth destroyer is even more baffling. People spending small fortunes on items they rarely use, that constantly lose value and actually create more work and stress in their lives. 7. Boats and luxury items. Buying problems in the form of status. There's an old joke in the nautical world: the two best days in a boat owner's life are the day they buy it and the day they sell it. Behind this joke lies a financial truth many discover too late. Boats, vacation homes, and other luxury items are financial black holes disguised as status symbols. The true cost of these items goes far beyond the purchase price. A $50,000 boat will easily cost another $5,000 to $10,000 annually in maintenance, insurance, storage, fuel, and repairs. And the worst part? Most sit idle for over 90% of the time. Mike from Tampa bought his dream for $65,000, only to discover he used it just 8 days a year, resulting in a real cost of nearly $2,000 per day of use. Meanwhile, financially savvy people take a completely different approach. They rent luxury instead of buying it. Why spend $50,000 on a boat when you can rent one for $400, $600 per day the few times you actually want to sail? Apps like Get My Boat, BoatSetter, and Freedom Boat Club let you enjoy the experience without the financial nightmare of ownership. The math is relentless. That $50,000 boat with $5,000 annual maintenance costs for 10 years represents a total expenditure of $100,000. If that same amount were invested in an ETF with an average annual return of 8%, you would have about $215,000 after the same period. The crucial question is, are those few days on the lake really worth $115,000 of your future? For those who truly love exclusive experiences, consider the 5% rule. If the annual maintenance cost of a luxury item exceeds 5% of your annual after-tax income, you probably can't afford it. And if you really desire these experiences, consider shared ownership or membership clubs that offer access without the full weight of ownership. Now, if buying expensive toys that lose value seems unwise, our eighth wealth destroyer is far more subtle. It's marketed as both protection and investment, but delivers poorly on both promises while making someone else very, very rich. 8. Whole life insurance, a slow and expensive investment. It's insurance and an investment, all in one. That's how many insurance agents sell whole life policies. But what they don't mention is that you're essentially combining extremely expensive life insurance with a low-yield investment, creating a product that fails at both objectives. The numbers don't lie. Whole life insurance can cost 5 to 10 times more than term life insurance for the same coverage. A 45-year-old man seeking $500,000 in coverage might pay $400 annually for a 20-year term policy, or $4,000 annually for a whole life policy. The difference? $3,600 per year, money that could be growing in real investments with much higher returns. The investment component of whole life insurance is extremely inefficient. In the early years, almost your entire premium goes to fees and commissions. After 10 years, you might have paid $40,000 in premiums to have only $30,000 in accumulated value. James from Ohio discovered this when he wanted to cash out his policy after 8 years, receiving less than he had paid in D, while his agent earned thousands in commissions in the first year. Financially astute people adopt a much more efficient strategy: buy term and invest the difference. They purchase cheap term life insurance for protection during the years that really matter, when they have dependent children or a mortgage, and invest the savings in higher return vehicles like index funds, VTI, VOO, or tax-advantaged retirement accounts, 401k, IRA. If you already own whole life insurance and are rethinking this decision, know that options exist. You can do a partial surrender, a policy loan, or a tax-free exchange, 1035 exchange, for an annuity or more efficient policy. Consult a fee-only financial planner, not someone who earns commissions, for unbiased advice. We've covered several costly financial mistakes so far, but our ninth wealth destroyer might be hitting you right now, perhaps even in your pocket or purse. It's an expense that repeats year after year, driven by some of the most sophisticated marketing on the planet. More efficient strategy. Buy term and invest the difference. They purchase cheap term life insurance for protection during the years that really matter, when they have dependent children or a mortgage, and invest the savings in higher return vehicles like index funds, VTI, VOO, or tax-advantaged retirement accounts, 401k, IRA. If you already own whole life insurance and are rethinking this decision, know that options exist. You can do a partial surrender, a policy loan, or a tax-free exchange, 1035 exchange, for an annuity or more efficient policy. Consult a fee-only financial planner, not someone who earns commissions, for unbiased advice. We've covered several costly financial mistakes so far, but our ninth wealth destroyer might be hitting you right now, perhaps even in your pocket or purse. It's an expense that repeats year after year, driven by some of the most sophisticated marketing on the planet. More efficient strategy. Buy term and invest the difference. They purchase cheap term life insurance for protection during the years that really matter, when they have dependent children or a mortgage, and invest the savings in higher return vehicles like index funds, VTI, VOO, or tax-advantaged retirement accounts, 401k, IRA. If you already own whole life insurance and are rethinking this decision, know that options exist. You can do a partial surrender, a policy loan, or a tax-free exchange, 1035 exchange, for an annuity or more efficient policy. Consult a fee-only financial planner, not someone who earns commissions, for unbiased advice. Speaking of spending money unnecessarily, there's an entire industry dedicated to making you replace things that still work perfectly with slightly improved versions. The ninth secret is a marketing strategy so effective it convinces millions to spend thousands of dollars every year on upgrades they barely notice. 9. Expensive gadgets and constant upgrades. The endless race. That new iPhone looks amazing, doesn't it? With a slightly better camera and somewhat faster processor than last year's model. But here's the truth: tech companies don't want you to know. The user experience difference between consecutive models rarely justifies the $1,000+ price tag to upgrade. The cycle is perversely efficient. Each new release comes with marketing that makes your current device, perfectly functional, seem obsolete. Apple, Samsung, and other giants have perfected the art of perceived obsolescence. They don't need the old product to break. They just need you to believe it's no longer good enough. And we fall into this trap repeatedly. The numbers are startling. Switching smartphones every year can cost over $12,000 over a decade. If you keep your phone for 3 to 4 years instead, you'll easily save $6,000, $8,000 during that period. Robert from Denver calculated he had spent over $14,000 on iPhone upgrades in the past 10 years, money that he invested in an index fund could have transformed into more than $20,000. Financially savvy people follow a simple rule. They use technology until it truly no longer meets their needs, not until the next release. Warren Buffett used the same flip phone for years while building a billion-dollar empire. It's not about avoiding technology, but using it strategically rather than emotionally. When you really need to upgrade, consider more economical options. Previous year models often have 30 to 40% discounts when a new one is released. Certified refurbished devices offer similar warranties for a fraction of the price. And for computers, often a simple RAM or SSD upgrade can give new life to a machine for $100, $200, instead of spending $1,500 on a completely new model. Let me ask you something. Did you already know about these financial traps we've covered so far, or has any of this information surprised you? I'm truly curious. Drop a quick comment below saying, "Knew it," or "That's new to me." I read every comment, and it helps me create better content for you. Now for our final wealth destroyer, one that might seem like the happiest purchase of your life, but leaves countless couples starting their journey together with a financial burden that can last for years. Let me show you how the wedding industry has convinced Americans to spend a small fortune on a single day. 10. Expensive weddings. One day, a lifetime of debt. The most special day of your life doesn't need to be the most expensive. With the average wedding cost in the US exceeding $30,000, many couples begin their life together already drowning in debt, trading decades of financial stability for a few hours of extravagant celebration. The social pressure is immense. Magazines, TV shows, and social media promote the idea that a wedding must be grandiose to be meaningful. But the reality is that there's no correlation between the cost of the ceremony and the happiness or longevity of the marriage. In fact, studies show that couples who spend less on their weddings tend to stay together longer. Jennifer and Michael from Boston opted for an intimate ceremony for $5,000 and used the $25,000 saved as a down payment on their first property. A decision that substantially appreciated in just 5 years. The real problem isn't celebrating, but sacrificing your financial future for a single day. Those $30,000 spent on a wedding, if invested for retirement at age 30, could grow to over $450,000 by age 65, with an average annual return of 8%. Is it worth trading $500,000 of your future for expensive flowers and a DJ for a few hours? Financially intelligent couples are redefining what it means to have an unforgettable wedding. They focus on meaning instead of spectacle, experience instead of extravagance. Weekday ceremonies, receptions in non-traditional venues like parks or museums, digital invitations, and minimalist decoration can easily cut the cost in half while preserving all the special moments. If you're planning a wedding, start by establishing a maximum budget before researching anything. The golden rule: don't spend more than you can pay in cash without compromising your long-term financial goals. Apps like Zola and WeddingWire offer free budgeting tools that help keep costs under control. On a scale of 1 to 10, how helpful was this information to your financial journey? Type your rating in the comments. I'd love to know which of these wealth traps you plan to eliminate first. Remember, while most people are busy buying the illusion of wealth, you now have the knowledge to build the real thing. Your future self is counting on you to make the right decision today.